Good Monday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gillaway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports live from the Orchard Street studio. And this is episode number 44 of our weekly podcast, Gazette Sports Chat, where we'll get to know participants from various realms of the high school sports world. The student athletes who play the games, the coaches who coach them, and others connected in different ways to the entire experience. We'll introduce you to tonight's guest in just a moment, or co-host, as it were, tonight, as soon as we're done thanking those responsible for bringing you tonight's show. That's our Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors. And they are Rickabah's Electric. Hold on, John. We got something new here, buddy. Rickabah's Electric, Payer Apparel,
Nice.
Ted's Bar and Grill, Freedom Financial Wealth Management, the Tire Mart, Team PA, AAU Basketball, Tonino's Pizza, American Legion Post 272, Hoffman Ford, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Modern Imprint, Sam Hartley Decking. Good luck to Sam Hartley, Coach Sam Hartley, Central Dauphin softball coach. They're going to play their first District 3 softball game in the quarterfinals. They got an opening round bye, but that'll be this Thursday against either Penn Manor or Dallastown. So Sam Hartley Decking, Crystal Bob at Iron Valley Real Estate, and Underdog Sports Bar and Grill. Thanks to those great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area student athletes. Tomorrow night this is a busy week for Gazette Sports Chat. We have 3 episodes tonight, tomorrow night, and then Wednesday night. And we're going to take a break for, I think, a couple weeks, and then I'll tell you momentarily what we're going to do on June 1st. But tomorrow night on Gazette Sports Chat, transfers and the push to separate boundary and non-boundary schools in postseason PIAA play. That should be interesting, John. Let me introduce John here. John Vellios, how are you?
Good.
How's life treating you? Good.
It's been amazing.
Good. That's awesome, man. That is so good. Amazing. So anyway, there's going to be a big show tomorrow night. We have one of our recurring guests, actually 2 recurring guests, Eric Thomas. He's a great broadcaster, does play-by-play as well as anybody I know, and color commentating, and he's also a journalist, so he's going to help out on the media end. And then we have 2 of the better coaches in the area. We have Ty Savercool, who just took the job at Northern York as their head basketball coach, and then I believe 6th year Central York head football coach Jerry Yanchuk. So we have a really bright panel, and we're going to talk about kind of how these transfers in high school sports have become more and more prevalent than they ever have been. And there's a House Bill 41, which is a push to separate boundary and non-boundary schools just in postseason play, not in regular season play. Then Wednesday on episode 46 of Gazette Sports Chat, we have 4 Central Dauphin softball players, Bree Locke, Gabby Shirk, Bryn Barkley, and Izzy Rodriguez. These girls are having a great season. They finished number 1 in the District 3 Class 6A power rankings. And again, they play their first District 3 tournament game this Thursday. I just booked a new one for June 1st, which is a Sunday. John's going to join me for that. We have 2 of my favorite coaches in the area and 2 of the better coaches in the area. We have Clay McAllister, who coaches girls basketball and baseball at Mechanicsburg. And then we got from Cedar Cliff, Scott Wyant, who's the head girls basketball coach. He's an assistant. I believe he's a wide receivers football coach, so he's an assistant football coach, and just took over the girls lacrosse head coaching job. So these are 2 great guys, great leaders of young men and women, and really good coaches, and just very involved in the young men and women of their schools' lives. Let's put it that way. When you're coaching,
That'd be exciting, Joe. I mean, you've gotten top line coaches all year long, man.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, whenever we're always sitting around talking about the better coaches in the area, I'm talking about Clay McAllister and Scott Wyant a lot.
For sure.
So I'm just excited to have an opportunity, and Clay McAllister had to deal with his first year in the in 6A this year, and they held up really, really well, man. It was kind of a seamless transition. They played really well. So we'll talk about that.
It seems to be a tough move, but like you said,
It didn't. They almost knocked off Central Dauphin. I mean, and I say that because Central Dauphin's pretty darn good every year. You know, they've got a lot of really good players. They got a great coach, Randy Gambalungi, and Coach McAllister and his girls. They gave Coach G and his girls all they could handle that night. So
Right.
That's going to be interesting. Though I want to talk about how they're able to manage head coaching more than one sport. You know, there's only 3 sports seasons in a school year. I'm sorry, and they're head coaching 2 of the 3, and then Coach Wyant is assistant coaching in the 3rd. So, so that's it. That's what's upcoming. Lots upcoming, and we appreciate you guys hanging in there through. That was the longest intro I ever did, John.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So what we're going to talk about tonight, there's 5 things. There's 2 sports have changed venues for the state championships. They're transitioning from Giant Center in Hershey to First Summit Arena in Johnstown. A shot clock update. There's new news on the shot clock in basketball. I don't know what's going on with the shot clock in lacrosse. We had our friend. My new cat just came flying down the steps. That's good. We were talking about the lacrosse situation. I don't know much about that. Tara Hohenschelt, our friend from State College, she'd like to see a shot clock, and I don't know if there's an update on that, but we do have a shot clock update tonight for basketball. PIAA knows that some people are ticked off that they can't pay with cash or other forms at the gate of their championship contests, and they're going to try to do something about it. So we'll talk about that. There was a transgender athlete down in District 1. I believe Plymouth White Marsh is the school. That's kind of one of the topics everywhere right now that a lot of people are concerned with, that they're talking about. So we're going to spend a few minutes on that situation. And then the final thing is the spring fling, the 7-on-7 football. I guess we'll call it a showcase that's held annually at Susquehanna Township High School. It had to be ended prematurely last week because of some extracurriculars that had nothing to do with the contest itself. Okay. We want to be clear about that. There was no players involved. There were no coaches involved. They were there to do what they were there to do. And some people decided to end things early through their conduct. And it just wasn't a good scene. So anyway, okay, last Friday, just a few days ago, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, I was on a Zoom meeting. This was not a private meeting. This was a Zoom meeting that I was invited to be on because I am a media member, but with PIAA Executive Director Bob Lombardi, John, Friday morning it was 11, and he had 2 of his assistant executive directors. So it was very informative. I felt that the PIAA staff members were very transparent, and Dr. Lombardi opened it up to questions and was very patient. And I mean, he answered every question that people asked him. So,
so is this open to the public, Joe? You said, or
I don't know,
just
John. I don't know. I got an email. I got an email the last 2 months, and I wasn't able to be on it 2 months ago. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to carve out an hour, at Friday morning at 11, and I got on it, and there weren't too many people on it. I think I was only one of maybe 3 media members.
Probably media members that are invited to.
I think so. They probably use the contact information they get from when we submit our information to get credentials for the state champions. Yeah. Media passes. So yeah, they have all the information there. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about primarily tonight. And it was very interesting. Again, I'm a fan. I'm a Dr. Bob Lombardi fan. I know a lot of people get ticked. Everybody thinks that they can have everything their own way. Okay. Like
everybody wants it their own way.
They want it their own way. And it just doesn't always work that way, you know.
It's a natural instinct, obviously.
Absolutely, it's a natural. And when I want my own way, I want my own way too. So,
right.
But I guess I kind of have a better idea of what they're up against. The PIAA is up against, because then their first priorities are, you know, the health and well-being and safety of the student athletes who they oversee, and just trying to, you know, keep things competitive and fair. And so there are things that they are tasked with that most of us don't think about when we want to tell, when we want to state publicly that they stink and they don't know what they're doing and they don't have a clue. And they do have a clue, Dr. Lombardi and his crew. So anyway, the first thing that they talked about, or one of the things, I have it down first, is First Summit Arena, John, in Johnstown. They won the bid. It's important that people know this is a bidding process. Okay, they're not just throwing.
So let's be clear here, Joe. The only change in venues is for cheerleading and dance, the spirit, and wrestling, right?
Competitive spirit and team wrestling.
Okay, no, individual wrestling.
I have it written down for team. Did you check that?
No, I thought you said you.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is team though. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is team wrestling championships. Yep.
Yeah.
And competitive spirit.
I misspoke before the show when I was talking we were talking.
Okay.
So, and I know that here we go right away. I'm going to just kind of support what I was just saying a couple of minutes ago. People are going to wonder, why are they having it way up in Johnstown? Well, because there are bids that are submitted, and Johnstown won the bid. They apparently, or they obviously have the facility that can handle this. You have to have the facility that can handle it. There's all kinds of logistics that you have to be able to meet, you know. I'm sure there's, you know, the locker room.
It's a 4,000 seat venue.
That's pretty big, John. I mean, people don't realize that's a pretty big. I think that Cumberland Valley, and I use Cumberland Valley because probably a lot of people that are watching this have been to Cumberland Valley. That's 3,000 seats,
right?
And that's a big gym. So add another 1,000 seats to Cumberland, and if it doesn't work out, this is only a 3-year contract. So, but you know, let's wish them well. First Summit Arena in Johnstown. From where I live in Colonial Park, it's 141 miles, 2 hours and 23-minute drive. The folks in Philly are going to be the ones kind of feeling the most pain. 239 miles from Center City, Philly, 4 hours and 4 minutes. So, but you know what,
Joe,
John?
You think that this is a first in, like, you know, maybe multiple other sports going away from the Giant Center, or is this a first step?
Well, it could be. That's a great question. It certainly could be. I mean, Giant Center, you know, I think our friend Randy Gambolungi says it best, and I've heard people say the exact same thing about Hershey Park Stadium. Yeah, it might be a little too big, and yeah, there's ways that we could sit here and make a checklist of the things that are no good about them. You know what I mean? They're just too big, and they're too this, and they're not enough that. And Hershey Park Stadium was a lot easier to make that checklist because it was old. The locker rooms were bad, but for the experience the kids get, you know, your son won a district championship in Giant Center, right?
He was down there twice. They won once, but it's an experience.
Had to be a thrill for him, you know.
Just to be walking in is thrilling, you know.
Yeah, so that's what
have worked all year long, you know, deserve to have something special to look forward to. You know, look at Hershey, what they did this year, basketball. Yeah, how exciting was it for them to get to play in the Giant team?
But I'll tell you this: I don't think you haven't been over to Chapman Field yet for state championship football, have you? It's been there the last 2 years. You don't even realize you're not in a major stadium. I mean, it's an 8,000 seat stadium. Mike Craig and his crew, they do such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I haven't been there since
a high school football stadium, and they host football, and they do a great job of it. So I think people just need to kind of chill out a little bit and be a little more open-minded. And if you're a competitive spirit parent or fan, or a team wrestling parent or fan, just, you know, have a good attitude, drive out there, support the kids, and you might really enjoy it. You might have a good time.
It sort of stinks for the people around here that are used to driving 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But what about the people in Pittsburgh and other areas that were driving 3 some hours for?
Right.
So you got to look at it from all sides.
Right. So,
and like you said, at the end of the day, it's a bidding process, and it's all business wise.
Yeah. Yep. So, First Summit Arena for the next 3 seasons, next 3 school years at least, going to be hosting boys and girls team wrestling and competitive spirit, the state championships. How about shot clock update, John? This is for basketball. I mentioned at the top of the show during that long dragged out intro that there was also a shot clock. Our friend Tara Hohenschelt, head coach of State College girls lacrosse, made me aware of this just weeks ago in lacrosse. And I can see why there could be one or should be one, because you can just kind of take the ball and pass it around like right near half midfield, I would imagine. So, but this is about basketball. Dr. Lombardi reminded us that there was a poll sent out to all schools, all PIAA member schools, just to use as a gauge or like a litmus test.
A survey.
A survey. And they use this to kind of contribute to their final determination. And the final determination is only for 1 more year. I think they're going to revisit it. You said,
and it's up to the PIAA too, Joe. It's strictly under their jurisdiction whether to institute it or not.
They could do it this year. They could have done it this year, or they could never do it. It's up to the PIAA.
It's too late to do it for 25-26, but they still can do it for 26-27 if they choose to.
Correct. So let me see. I don't.
The general feel that we get from coaches, we talk to a lot of coaches in this area, Joe, and most of them want it.
Yeah.
Don't you agree with that?
Yes. However,
that's our opinion.
Dr. Lombardi did say he's out there. That's what he does for a living. So he's out there talking to coaches, out there talking to athletic directors, and maybe have some interaction from some student athletes too. But he said from kind of the feedback he's getting is really close to 50-50, on
so
how many people.
Has he gotten most of the feedback back, the surveys back?
Yes.
Or they didn't?
Yes. He's gotten a good many of them back. And the opinions are mixed. And he said there are coaches who claim it would take away from their personal strategy, like the way that they play.
Need to change their personal strategy.
They like to keep the scores down, get a little lead close to the end, and then kind of have a team that's disciplined enough to. Yeah, it's kind of really old school style of basketball. It's not the wrong style of basketball. It's just not in tune with how basketball is primarily played these days, So here's the biggest deal, I think, is that, and this is something that I actually brought up or I asked about. I'm not the person that introduced this notion, but it's going to take more than a warm body to man these shot clocks. Okay. This is part of the officiating crew. This is not old Mrs. Wilson who's selling tickets at the front door, or a 14-year-old freshman kid who just
they can't get a parent to do the shot clock.
I doubt it. I don't know if it's an official PIAA official or somebody that the school has trained. It's going to take training. Okay, they were clear about that. Nobody's going to call me or you up, John, on a Friday night, and say, "Hey, can you get in here quick? We need somebody to run this shot clock." Even though you and I would have a good understanding of the game and what the shot clock's all about, that's not the way. That's not the way the schools are going to be able to approach this.
There's so many questions. I have so many questions.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, though. And Ty, our friend Coach Ty Sabercool, he brought that up. We did a little segment on this a couple weeks ago, and that's the thing he brought up. He's like, this isn't just like a warm body job. Yeah. Think about it. You can really screw a game up if you don't,
Right.
So I could see having to stop the game and hold on, So that's one of the reasons I think that I don't know if they vote internally.
I mean, there's going to have to be training, Joe, on not just for that shot clock operator, but for all the officials in basketball.
I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of them are used to working with a shot clock. I mean, I don't know if they've done, college or, similar things with shot clock. But
right.
I mean, there's so many questions that I don't know. Even if you wanted to do it in 26, 27, would it be enough time to even get everything done that you need to?
Great question. Like, that's why we're talking about it.
Say next January, okay, 26, 27 basketball season, we're going to start a shot clock. Would they make every PIAA school have a shot clock, or would it be open to, okay, we can do it. We can't do it.
You have to have one.
So,
which leads me to the next point. How much do they cost? How much would they cost to install?
I think we spoke with Coach Savercool about that before, and that was the first objection, was the cost. And the cost is not as much as everyone thinks it is for the actual clocks above the.
Tell you what the clocks will cost. For two clocks, between $5,000 and $20,000.
That you've got that official.
That came from the PIAA meeting, from the
Zoom meeting. All right, yeah. So that's more than I thought.
So $2,500 a clock at least.
Okay.
And I can see some of them can be built into scoreboards maybe, but then the scoreboards would have to be the main scoreboards would have to be right behind.
Right, it's not visible.
Now, see, like you and I, we just spent 5 to 7 minutes on this. Can you imagine? We come up with all these different scenarios and questions, and
I got more questions. We could talk about this for an hour.
There's a reason why this just wasn't frivolously rubber stamped and they're not doing it already. There are good reasons. I don't think a good reason is that some coaches say that it would take away from their strategy.
No, that's not.
That's you just got to. If you're a basketball coach, you have to kind of figure out a way to, move forward with the way that you try to win games. But
the bottom line, Joe, is that, like you said, 28 states have a shot clock in high school.
28 plus the District of Columbia.
So they figured it out. So I'm sure Pennsylvania can figure it out.
Correct.
I mean, they have to have outlines for how to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's new to the country.
And Dr. Lombardi did say that that they're kind of in. Of course, they're in touch. There's only 51 of them if you include governing body executive directors. So he talks to these people. Hey, how's it going? What should we be concerned or afraid of, or what I mean? So.
What's the state that has it? New Jersey or Delaware? Maryland, maybe.
I just know that the District of Columbia does. That's all I know. Okay. So, anyway, for those that really love the idea of implementing a shot clock, it's not going to be at least for another school year, which would take us into 25, 26 at the very earliest.
26, 27 the earliest.
Right, John. Thank you. Yep. Anyway, so that's the shot clock. How about the PIAA? Have heard that people are upset about having to use their phone to order their tickets
or computer. Yeah.
Well, most of the time they're not going to carry their computer through the front gate of a.
You're saying if they show up and realize they can't pay cash, they got to get on their phone.
Buy your tickets online.
Buy tickets ahead of time at home, like a couple of days before, right?
I don't know. Can you? Can you print them out? Is that what you're saying?
If Central Dauphin is playing a district basketball game in Cumberland Valley, 2 days ahead of time, the tickets are available online. Why wouldn't they be?
But you're going to end up with them on your phone, though.
Right. Or on your email or,
Well, there are people that haven't, and you and I dealt with this 15 years ago. Okay. You and I worked for a company, a Fortune 55 company, which means they're the best in the world at what they do. They are. They really are. And we went to our company went to cashless. And I remember the uproar. There's no way we can do this. Our customers are going to rebel. They're going to quit buying. And people learn how to do it. They learn how to do it. They kick and they scream.
Mentioned again.
Yeah, they kick and they scream, and then it just kind of, after a while, you kind of think that. And here's why they transition over to cashless.
So let's discuss that, Joe. The pros and the cons.
Okay, it's safer. Nobody's stealing your money. Whether it's not going to be somebody coming in with a mask and a gun sticking up your, $75 cash box. It's going to be internal. Your money's safe.
And there's also no pilferage, no theft from internal sources.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's all around more profitable to not accept cash. Okay. You don't have to run to the bank. Everything's done online. You
don't have to have people working.
Right. Yeah. You don't need anybody selling tickets or taking tickets.
Right.
The PIAA's accountants are very much in favor of not accept. They love no cash because it makes their job easier. I mean, not that they're not there to work, but they want to make sure that they're able to keep track of the PIAA's money. Right. And they say it's just so much better and so much, I guess, efficient and to not accept cash. So here are the alternatives. They're working on setting up, I think he said Venmo, Apple Pay, Cash App, those kind of, I think they're called digital wallets, right? Everybody knows what they are. I have Cash App. I think I've used it 5 times ever, but I haven't. So that's going to be one option, is a digital wallet or multiple ones. And then now remember this too. Some venues are not set up to accept cash.
Right.
Giant Center is not set up to accept cash. So, you could blame it on the PIAA all you want, but they're partnered or they're contracted with facilities, at least that one, that doesn't have a cash option.
Well, Joe, going back, it used to be a cash option.
There used to be a cash option. I was at it, and I like using credit cards.
And I think that's what people are upset about.
That's what they're upset about. I like using credit cards all the time, but I had my grandson last year. We were at a baseball game, I think, and we were heading out the door, and we were both kind of in the mood for ice cream, and there was an ice cream stand right there. So I grabbed a 20, and they said, no. I said, oh, just this stand. I asked a couple. They said, we don't accept cash in this whole building.
Right.
It's a baseball stadium with 48,000 seats and food and alcohol. And they said there's no cash in this whole building. So it's not the PIAA's brainchild.
No,
so
they're not the first, and they won't be the last to go cash.
Right. But to accommodate cash payments, the PIAA are looking to set something up where, okay, I think the tickets are $8 now for championship round games, state championship games. They will charge $10 because there'll be no change. If you give a 20, you're getting 2 tickets. You can't get a ticket and $10 back. So
you're saying they're going to have an automated machine you're talking about?
I don't know, but they said it's going to be no change, and you'll get charged, I guess, $2. If it's an $8 ticket, you got to pay $10. You're not getting $2 back. So if you have 20, you better get 2 tickets. If you only want one, you better buy 2.
It's basically like an exact change situation almost.
It is an exact change situation. So, in a nutshell, John, the PIAA have heard people's disdain for their people aren't happy, and for the younger people, they're throwing in the Venmo. Not that no older people use those digital wallets, but I think it's more younger people. For the younger people that don't like using their credit card or their phone, Venmo, Apple Pay, Cash App. I'm not sure it's all 3 of those. I think it is, but some kind of digital wallet options. And for the people that, probably a lot of older people that want to pay cash, they're working towards that, but you're going to pay a couple dollars extra, and you're probably not going to have an opportunity to get any change back. So that's that. And I want to mention too, I'd like to do this once a month. I think the next PIAA Zoom meeting with Dr. Bob Lombardi is not till July. You know, sometimes you take a month off for whatever reason, vacation or whatever. So these are very informative. I mean, for somebody like myself and like you, because you're with me a lot, this is good stuff for us to use to try. We're here to educate the people that are watching. You know, right now we have 116 people viewing, or we have since we got started. That's a lot of people. You know, that means people care because they knew what the topics were. I was clear about what the topics were. So my goal is to get on these Zoom meetings every time they have them and kind of take some notes and then deliver that information to our viewers. So
I think that's good of you, Joe. I mean, I know it takes your time, but I mean, you like you said, you learn a lot from sitting in these meetings.
I really do, and it's kind of what I do now. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that's, you know, it's a service I can provide, and I actually enjoyed being in the meeting. Okay, so another, I would say a really big topic right now, or not. It's more than a topic. It's a situation with the with transgender athletes. Okay, and there is a young lady. She's a Plymouth White Marsh student athlete, track and field, but she's a track. She was a runner. She is a runner. I believe she ran the 200. Let me.
Yeah, 200. Yeah,
200, and I think the PIAA went from they transitioned from gender over to sex. Okay, sex is determined by chromosomes and biological characteristics present at birth. Gender identity is a person's internal sense of being male or female or neither. So the PIAA and a lot of people are kind of moving how they identify or how they define an athlete, going from again gender to sex. And you know, let's be clear about this. I'm not here to give my opinion. I'm not going to ask your opinion, John.
No.
I don't know enough about it. I just fumbled through 2 sentences. I don't even know. I'm not a doctor. I spent most of my professional life selling green beans and toilet paper, so that doesn't qualify me to know a whole lot about transgender. But this young lady, she was trying to qualify for the state championships, and a transgender student athlete from Plymouth White Marsh. She was authorized by a judge to compete in girls track. She ultimately did not qualify for the state championship. She finished 12th in the 200 meters, above the state qualifying standard time. She had a time of 25:89, and she had to hit 25:60 to qualify, 29/100ths of a second. So
when did this take place, Joe? The qualifying, you know,
it was within the last week.
It was like I think it was Saturday, but yeah, because I read an article about it that, you know, I think the PIAA got maybe sued by another party.
They are right now in litigation. They are being sued.
Bob Lombardi cannot talk about it specifically, but he did say that the federal courts said that she was allowed to run, so he had no option but to have her run. So
I mean, I was so impressed with Dr. Lombardi, like the way he handled it with us, because I can usually get a read on how he's gonna do things that he has to protect the PIAA and the student athletes who the PIAA are here to serve. That's what he needs to do is take a professional approach, a legal approach. So here, let me read this. I was kind of mumbled and fumbled through. The State Association for High School Athletics changed its policy in February to classify students by sex rather than gender in compliance with a Trump administration order banning transgender athletes from girls' sports. However, PIAA Executive Director Bob Lombardi said Friday that PIAA will instead comply with a federal judge's order allowing a Plymouth White Marsh sprinter to participate as a girl. We are in active litigation, said Dr. Bob, so I'm limited in what I can tell you. He said this on the video conference call Friday. This is what I heard him say. U.S. District Judge Wendy Beadlestone on March 4th denied a temporary restraining order to deny that young person from continuing to compete. So that student by court order is allowed to compete. We will not violate the court order.
Right.
So his Dr. Lombardi's obligation isn't to all the ticked off people that just want to be mad. His first again are to serve the student athletes and the PIAA, the governing body of high school sports in Pennsylvania, and the law. You know, more than anything, the law. He has to put the law before everything else. And so anyway, but she did not. The girl did not qualify for the state championship. And before we move on, you know, the one thing I know that I'm going to do, John, is I'm going to continue to not be insensitive towards people. I'm going to continue to be open-minded. I don't even know if I would what side I'm on. I really don't, because I don't have to know. But just the venom and the vile, the talking. This is a kid. You know, these are kids that we're talking about, and you know, I guess this is things I don't really have to say, but I'm just going to say them. You know, it's okay to disagree with something or somebody or a law or a rule or a bylaw and just disagree with it. You know, some of the things that I've seen said directly about this kid, this girl, they're horrible. I can't imagine having to be that.
I would venture to guess that it's no fun being at the backfield and what's going on, what actually went on when she was trying to qualify. So
my goodness. So I'd hate for it to be my child, and I would hate to be that child and have to deal with just all this hatred and judgment. So anyway, for now, there will not be any transgender athletes in the PIAA state championships that we're aware of. And then the last thing is this spring fling, the 7-on-7 football showcase, let's call it, at Susquehanna Township. I guess that Coach Joe Heeden runs that. It's an annual event. The 7 teams that showed up to compete were Central Dauphin East, Central York, Cumberland Valley, Milton Hershey, Harrisburg, Middletown, and of course the host Susquehanna Township. And a fight broke out, I guess, in the stands. In
the stands.
I think it might have started, maybe not the physical part, but it might have started in the men's room or something. There was.
Oh yeah, they said the bathroom concession area.
Yeah. So.
And then multiple other fights started amongst fans.
I saw a woman quoted and who was there, and she said she saw pretty much the whole thing. She said there were 6 or 7 kids involved and 1 parent. Okay,
kids in the stands, not that were players,
not anybody playing or coaching. No, nobody inside the gates, inside the fences to the field. Right. It's important that we deliver that information too. So, 2 cops were injured. I guess they probably trying to break it up. And this was over. There was no good reason for this to happen. I'm going to tell you, there was a kid or a young man killed, shot dead very recently. And I guess groups of kids from one school were kind of making fun of it, or they were kind of, they were being insensitive towards the situation. And the people that ended up, I guess, starting the fight, they reacted to these words. It would be like if you and I had a good friend that was killed, and the people were kind of making fun of our friend, and we might want to. Now, you and I would probably not start a fight over it, but it's just, I think, and I'm not gonna justify it, and I'm not gonna defend the kids at all, but it's kind of like that's what happens a lot of times with kids. They don't know the proper way, John, to make a point, or that you don't have to fight over, sticks and stones, basically. So I don't know where we're heading though, John.
So I was curious, Joe, you named all the teams, so it's all local teams too. So there's no one
from Central York, and they didn't get a chance to even get on the field.
Right. Yeah. So I mean,
kind of disheartening.
Yeah, big time.
And what I'm trying not to do, I guess you could probably tell because I'm having a hard time articulating. I don't want to sit here and like judge these kids. I mean, I want to tell you they're going to probably have to do something about keeping kids out altogether. That's what I heard. Next year, there's not going to be. I would like to see like parents, if you can prove you're a parent, still be able to.
You're saying just for this spring fling, like
no,
or regular season football.
Well, I'm saying specifically for the spring fling, the 7-on-7. But what I want to read here, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. This is the Landis Field, the Central Dauphin School District policy, and this started 2 years ago.
It doesn't seem like it's been enforced, though, Joe. I mean,
I think it has been. Maybe there's always going to be kids slipping through the cracks. Let's face it, we're talking about kids here. These aren't people in their 30s or 40s or 50s that are showing up to start fights. These are kids in their teens, probably up to like mid-20s or something. But and this was not met with a whole lot of agreement or appreciation by a lot of people in the community. This is 2 years now. Was implemented 2 years ago. In order to attend home football games at Landis Field, attendees must be 18 years or over. Okay, so you have to be at least a young adult. You have to probably not still be in high school. There are some kids that are 18 and still in high school. Be a high school student, grades 9 through 12, who has a student ID or sports pass from Central Dauphin High School, East High School, or Dauphin County VOTEC. So they're keeping kids out from all the other school districts. Be a Central Dauphin student or child less than 18 years of age who is accompanied by a parent. So if you're a student, even in Central Dauphin School District, you have to have a parent with you. That's what they're saying here. If you're from a visiting school, you have to have a student ticket or school ID issued by the visiting team prior to the game. So the Central Dauphin School District is asking the opposing team's athletic department to make sure that the tickets don't get into the wrong hands. Anyway, the only reason I read that is because what happened at Susquehanna Township has been happening. It's not new. Okay. It's not solely on Susquehanna Township. I've been to games at Landis Field where, are you familiar with the term wilding? You know what wilding is? Just running all over, just causing havoc. Sometimes it involves like major crimes and weapons. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it's usually just kids running around. Okay. But I've had to walk through like with my arms up to keep from getting nailed, getting knocked over. These kids just get into a frenzy. And I believe it was 2 years ago. The State College fans, they were scared. They were scared. They couldn't leave. They were stuck standing. They came out of the bleachers and couldn't get out of the gate to their cars because these kids were just flying. And I was there that night. And they weren't just complaining. It was a real thing. Like, you got people like adults and older adults that were just scared. They said, we need police escort, or at least we need the police to break this up so we can get out of the gate.
Were the police there?
Oh, there's always cops.
There's usually a heavy presence at Landis.
Yeah, but they probably had to. They were probably just standing, by the gate, and then once somebody came over and complained, then they started clearing everybody out. But
Joe, even the last 2 years since they implemented this new, like, sort of restrictive policy, but not like completely shut down access, there's still fights there every week, right?
It hasn't been as bad. It wasn't as bad this past season as it was the season before. I don't think anybody's disillusioned into thinking that this is going to be like everything's fixed now.
Right.
So
is there a possibility that some of these schools might go to no kids and just parents or Other restrictive policies?
No, I don't know. I think it's probably going to be talked about even more now. I think that Central Dauphin School District, I don't want to call them a leader, but I think that people probably respect how they run things as a district, how Chris Hunter and Dwan Lee, manage their events, their contests. And I would be shocked if there weren't other districts going, hey, how's that working for you? Or, what did you do to get that started? Or because it certainly isn't exclusive to Susquehanna Township and Landis Field. Now, I mean, there's other. I'll tell you what, John. I go to Cumberland Valley. I don't know, a handful of times, 3-4 times a year for different things. I was just there yesterday, covering a football game. They have a heavy police presence, and these cops, they look. Well, they're cops, but these are big dudes. They have smiles on their faces, though. Okay, they don't look like they're brought out there to scare people, but it doesn't look like anything's going to go down when you're over at Cumberland Valley, Yeah. So anyway, so I think that's it, John. We got a lot accomplished here tonight. First Summit Arena in Johnstown, holding 2 of the state championships. Shot clock update. No shot clock for a year at least. PIAA working towards accepting cash and digital wallet type payments. A transgender athlete. First of all, let's lead with PIAA is in litigation right now, is being sued over a transgender athlete who she did not qualify for the state championships in the 200 meter. Got close, so within 29 100ths of a second. And then the spring fling 7-on-7 football didn't turn out the way everybody hoped it would. So that's it. Anything from you, John?
No.
We are going to, you and I will reconvene on June 1st, which is, I think, 2 Sundays from now, something like that. And once again, we will have coaches Scott Wyant from Cedar Cliff and Clay McAllister from Mechanicsburg, 2 of our favorite coaches, 2 of the more successful coaches in the area. They will be on together. It'll be the 4 of us, John and myself, and the coaches, and that's going to be fun, man. We're going to be talking about.
We're going to have some good questions for him.
Yeah. And tomorrow night we have a show dedicated to the transfers of student athletes and the push to separate boundary and non-boundary schools in postseason play, specifically called House Bill 41. It's in the legislature right now. It has passed through there's a committee. I forget exactly what it's called, but it has a long way to go. But we're going to talk all about that. And we have joining us Eric Thomas, along with coaches Jerry Yanchuk and Ty Sabercool. And then Wednesday, Joe Mikulski. John, do you know him? Mikulski?
That sounds familiar.
He said, "You're looking good, John." He says, "It's a comment." Thank you for the comment, Joe. And then Wednesday again, 2 nights from tonight, we're gonna have Central Dauphin softball players. They're good again. They're number 1 seed for the district championship tournament. Bree Locke, Gabby Shirk, Bryn Barkley, and Izzy Rodriguez, also known as Belle Rodriguez. Now she's a freshman. So anyway, that's going to do it. Let's thank our sponsors once again.
A couple busy nights here, Joe. Good luck.
It's going to be a good run here. Let's see. There we go. Let's go backwards this time. Underdog Sports Bar and Grill, Crystal Bob at Iron Valley Real Estate, Sam Hartley Decking, Modern Imprint, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Hoffman Ford, American Legion Post 272, Tonino's Pizza, TPA, AAU Basketball, the Tire Mart, Freedom Financial Wealth Management, Ted's Bar and Grill, Payer Apparel, and Rickabaz Electric. Thanks once again to these great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area student athletes. So for John Vellios, I'm Joe Gilloway. This is episode, I believe, 44. Yes, man, they're starting to pile up, John. We've done a lot of really good podcasts over the last year. A lot of fun. I really appreciate it. It's always better when you're here with me. You do a great job. So we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.